In the latest update to the Honkai Star Rail story, we experienced something unforgettable. We were confused, insulted, threatened, and then realized at the very end that we were all misled. And even now, I have mixed emotions about what we just experienced. But through looking at this from a refreshed perspective, I feel that I must amend a few of my statements from the previous video. Because after dealing with a character who fully establishes herself as a pathological liar, and then reveals that she is helping us reclaim our lost memories, only to tell us later that it was all a non-existent memory, I gotta admit that it made me feel some type of way. However, believe it or not, there are some notes of substance that we can learn from sprinkled into this mess of deception. And in this video, I'll be trying my best to strip the meat from the bones so we can get back to cooking. Because this is the secrets of the Penacony fever dream revealed. Okay, so yeah, that's what I'm going to be referring to this as for now. This quest is nothing more than a fever dream in a non-existent memory. So let's start with the very nature of the quest itself before we get into the details. Well, first we gotta understand Dahlia. And we are lucky because she pretty much tells us who she is and what her motivation is. She is a destruction and remembrance follower who gained the power of harmony temporarily through the Dream Master Gopherwood's law. However, with the death of the Dream Master, we know that her contract with Gopherwood has expired. But nonetheless, this is really impressive and noteworthy because now we know for an absolute fact that triple Pathstriders can exist. And the reason of why Dahlia can do this relates all the way back to the very thing that makes her such a unique and special character, which is on full display through her name, the Dahlia flower. The Dahlia flower that is shown so often with her represents commitment, and the symbol of this flower runs way deeper than I initially thought. Because naturally I thought, oh, her name is Dahlia and she's committed to things and then betrays them. But it goes way deeper than just this. Because in order to follow a path, a person's will has to align with that path. And it is through this that they draw their power from said path. That's why on Yurilo 6 they say will of preservation. But how this relates to Dahlia is through the fact that she can shift her will at will. And it is this total and utter commitment to the different roles she takes that allows her to draw power from the paths that she aligns herself with. Like for example, when acting as a Stellaron hunter, she was helping Firefly to the best of her abilities and also giving her all to Gopherwood simultaneously. Unfortunately, though she is honest in her efforts, her allies change often due to her inconsistency, which is also signified by her blue flames and her potential Lord Ravager name. Because blue flames burn hotter than normal orange ones, but they also consume more oxygen and can't survive without oxygen-rich environments. So in that way, she is intense but short-lived. While on your team, she will be your MVP, but don't count on her being around for very long. Because the name Ephemera, which is her potential Lord Ravager name, is based off of the word ephemeral, which means lasting a very short time. Because when you are committed to everyone, you are committed to no one. Also, one last Dahlia flower fact is that they are very popular wedding flowers, which is the whole commitment thing. But I think that is why Dahlia wears all white just like Cyrene does. Just like Cyrene wears a wedding ring as a symbol of her marrying Amphoreus because she is so dedicated to protecting it that she will endure painful cycles of memory loss indefinitely, Dahlia is the same way, just not as pure or elegant, hence the rest of her design.
Let me touch you a little bit. You'll need some gentle stimulation. I won't do anything inappropriate.
Instead of being fueled by love, she is consumed by greed.
Betrayal isn't in my nature. Greed is.
But Nova, why did you just dive into a character analysis of Dahlia? Well, it's because it is important to my next point, of course. Because it is this very nature that drove Dahlia to seek us out in the first place. But Dahlia is once again very peculiar because instead of being greedy for attention or companions or even affection, Constance doesn't need any of this. She is greedy for experiences.
I don't want to miss out on any possibility life has to offer.
She wants to play for every team purely just to know what it feels like. She doesn't have to take center stage, she just chases the thrill. Remember, before showing herself to Firefly and changing her memories to become her companion, she asked Sparkle for the script first.
What exactly do you want to take from me?
There's this thing called the script. Now that I find quite intriguing. Stellaron Hunter collaborator.
She wanted to help push Firefly towards her goal, but wished to insert herself into the plot. So she isn't really malicious, she actually straight up is greedy. She wanted to be a Stellaron hunter, so she proceeded to pretend to be one. But of course she would eventually get bored and leave. Simple as that. So taking all of this into account, we can explain why she wanted to trick us into reliving this non-existent memory. Because the memories of what happened in our timeline are gone. She cannot reclaim our memories once they are burned. And yes, they were burned, not stolen. Stolen memories can be reclaimed. Remember when I said that we were hoping that March was the victim of a memo snatcher instead of a cremator? Yeah, this is why. Because if she got entirely erased by a cremator, she'd probably be dead. Because when memories are cremated, that's just it. We can't relive or reclaim them at all. It's kinda like what the Nihility does. But what we can do is be placed into a different timeline's memories and play out the script from the point of view of the past us. Which is why so many things that I mentioned in the last video don't add up, or things happening in strange ways. Like for example, Firefly saying Acheron can't draw her blade around us when we know that she does this twice and nothing bad happens.
If there's even the slightest chance that Acheron might draw her blade, I cannot let her be there.
If there's even the slightest chance that Acheron might draw her blade.
From that point on, we should have kinda known that something was up and that this timeline was kind of broken. Heck, at the very end, we don't even reach the same ending that Dahlia said we should. In the original ending, Firefly hid from us and faded away by herself. But in this ending that we passively changed, she chose to spend her final dreamscape moments by our side. So even though this was a script from a bygone time, we still changed it by sheer force of will. Then changed it again with finality, but that's the next video's topic, so look out for that. But I guess you are wondering, what was this all for? None of this changed anything. What is the point of reliving a non-existent memory to this much of an extent? Well, if we look at this through Little Miss Memo Keeper's perspective, she has everything to gain from this. Because she told us something really interesting. She said no one else is able to do this. No one else is able to rekindle lost memories in any fashion, but we can. And not only that, we can change them as we go along. Why? Because we've been told in two different ways that we can. The first way is through the Stellaron that we now know is a creation of the Harmony. Look out for that video too, that's probably next week. At the beginning of the game, our Stellaron tells us to reach the ending of our story in our own way. That is the first way we were told about this. And the second way is Noose calling us Fateless One, meaning that we have no predetermined destiny at all. Every choice we make impacts the world around us in some drastic way. Hoyo has written this to mean that we are the main character in every possible way. The entire universe revolves around us and hangs in the balance as us as its only savior. We alone can change destiny because we don't have one. And it is this fact that allows us to be placed into any story from any time and change it. So do you see why Dahlia wanted to conduct this experiment? As a memo keeper of the garden, she was taught that memories can recreate the universe and are eternal, but they cannot be rekindled after being cremated or erased. But we just proved all of that wrong. If we can alter a memory that doesn't even exist, that is a one-of-a-kind feat that she got to be a part of and witness. And she was hyped for it too, because she went to a lot of trouble for this. She had to sneak aboard the Express, either gain control of our friends or create fakes of them, and when that didn't work, she tried to alter our memories directly, which also failed. But funny thing about this, Kafka put the same protection on Firefly as she did on us, but Dahlia was able to bypass it due to her access to Gopherwood's Harmony power. So she failed to get inside our head because no more Harmony power. Gopherwood is dead. Or of course, they may have never joined forces in our timeline, which is also funny because we knew that she wasn't a Stellaron hunter from the start because of that fact. She would have known about Kafka's Spirit Whisper, but never came in contact with it due to her bypassing in the past. So this is why I say that this whole timeline is a non-existent memory. She introduced to us what she was going to put us through, and then put us through it under the guise of giving us back memories stolen from us, which is a kinda clever lie because it's kinda still our memories, but it's not the same us. You see how she kinda did the wordplay there? I don't like you, Dahlia. You're mean. Not as bad as the IPC though, but that's besides the point. Also, unless she got her hands on 2 scripts, we died in this ending and failed, causing Fu Li to reset everything. Meaning that she most likely got this corpse of us from the script that she made us relive. Isn't that just wonderful to think about? She doesn't confirm this, but considering the likelihood of her coming across 2 discarded Elio scripts by chance, I don't know. Either way, if this is a past ending, it means we died anyway, cause if we won, we wouldn't be back here again. So, judging by the circumstances of Dahlia's entire character, this is not a retcon, this is a test of our true abilities as a Worldbearer of this universal cycle. What she did is the equivalent of taking Castellana out of the cycle, I don't know, 33,550,336, and then putting him in, I don't know, the 100th cycle. Remember, he body swapped, so it's not the same Phynon, but of course he would be able to change it because he's the only non-consistent factor in the world. The world of Emphorius plays out the same way every time and only changes based off of the actions he takes. And the same result you would get with Phynon is the same result Dahlia got with us. We are the variable. We are the factor that can change everything, and this is why the Stellaron hunters are pulling the strings in the back to make sure the real script goes off without a hitch, because they have most likely failed thousands or even millions of times by now, resulting in a map of branching paths filled with possibilities. And we are hoping that by now, Terminus has things mapped out enough to where we finally get to win this time. It's like playing a brutal game where you have to restart the entire playthrough every time you lose to the final boss. It's perma-death hardcore mode. And Dahlia just took us out of our save file and loaded us into a failed run save file so that we can relive the horrors of what could have been. And all of this was because she is a greedy little selfish cremator that wanted to experience something that no one else could. The rekindling of the Worldbearer's non-existent memories. Because this is the secrets of the Penacony fever dream revealed. It has been far too long since I have done a full-on character analysis like this, but this time I feel like it was called for because this patch was super confusing, and I feel like as a theorist of this community, I have to pull out all the stops in order to fully comprehend these things. Next video I gotta talk about Terminus, the 1,000-armed Aeon that somehow also split into cats and might also be Fu Li, and of course the Stellaron's harmonic origins. Totally not putting that one off because I hate talking about the harmony. Then we'll probably wrap around for another part of Aeons Explained. Remember, we got Nanook and Noose next up. I got big plans for you guys, and you know you will only get this type of discussion right here. But what do you guys think? Be sure to let me know, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace, y'all.